Hello, everybody, and welcome to Kentucky Higher Education Assistance Authority's webinar series. Today, we're going to talk about financial literacy. Joining me is my colleague, Brandon Brown from the Eastern Kentucky territory. Hey, Brandon. Brandon is the counselor in the Eastern Kentucky area. I am the outreach counselor in the Louisville Metro West area. I cover all schools west of I-65 in Louisville, Spencer County, and Bullitt County. So today we're here to talk about It's Money, Baby. If you want to interact with us, we have muted everybody because this is a webinar, but we do have the chat option open. So just hit that little chat box at the bottom of the screen, type in a question. I'll be monitoring it throughout the presentation. My friend Brandon here, my colleague, is going to be doing the presentation talking about financial literacy. But if you have a question for us, we'd be glad to stop and talk at any time during the presentation. So without further ado, I'm going to hand it over to Brandon and let him take it away. Brandon, it's nice to see you tonight.
Nice to see you too, Stephen. I appreciate it. Glad to be here and everything, and really looking forward to discussing a little bit about money. I don't know anybody here that doesn't like money, and so but first and foremost, I want to give you a little background of myself. I have worked for KHEAA. This is my 4th year working for the Kentucky Higher Education Assistance Authority. Real excited to get to work for an awesome company. And basically our primary goal is to serve you. So I'm really excited to be able to talk to you a little bit about basic financial principles. And hopefully this will, maybe you can take something away from this, such as budgets, savings accounts, different things to help you out. I will tell you that along with this presentation, we actually do have an in-print publication of It's Money, Baby. And that's one of the things that we do offer with KHEAA. All of our services are free. You never have to pay for any of our services. And so with that It's Money, Baby publication, we also have several other publications to deal with college, scholarships, high school basics, and everything like that. And you can go on to KHEAA.com. That's KHEAA.com. And you can actually do an order form. And you know what? Better, even better, we're going to be able to ship it to you for free. So if you need one copy or you need maybe for a whole classroom, this is something that you can go onto our website and be able to order them. Also, one of the really cool services that we do offer is our outreach counselor service. Me and Stephen are both, like he mentioned, outreach counselors for KHEAA. And we also have other ones in other parts of the state ready to serve you. So please reach out to us. You can find our information on KHEAA.com as well to be able to help you and to serve you. That's what we're here for. We also offer some different grants and scholarships for students being Kentucky residents in the state of Kentucky.
Brandon, I'd just like to also mention that for those of us who don't like paper, don't like to use a lot of paper, you can also find our publications in electronic form online under the Other Resources tab. When you go to KHEAA.com, it's under Other Resources, and then you'll see the publication section. So check it out. There's a lot of good stuff there.
Awesome. So let's go ahead and move on here a little bit. So yeah, we're going to talk a little bit about financial basics. So let's talk a little bit about cash. Where does our money go? Right? Where in the world does our money go? We get paid, we put it in our wallet. The next time our wife's asking us, hey, do you have $10? You open your wallet, it's not there. So what we really got to do is we need to develop a money plan. What is that? Basically a way to track how much money we're making and to how much we're spending. You know, anytime that we have a job or we receive some money for maybe like a birthday gift or a Christmas gift, what do we need to do with it? Well, first and foremost, I think we need to look at some goals. What's our short-term goals? What's our long-term goals? You know, yeah, we might need a new pair of kicks or some new clothes, maybe a new suit for an interview. But we need to also think about, okay, if I'm thinking about going to college, what's it going to cost me? Or maybe I want to save up for a new car. Now, here's the thing. We don't have to have that Mercedes-Benz when we're thinking about our cars or what, you know, a good solid Chevrolet or a Ford, you know, is going to be able to get us from point A to point B. But we need to learn how to budget. One of the things that I definitely want to keep in mind is, hey, try to follow the 70-30 rule. Now that's probably kind of difficult right now during this pandemic that we're in. But if we can at least save back 30% of what we make or what we receive, Then it'll give us a little bit of rainy day fund or an emergency fund. So money plan, budget. A lot of times when people start to talk about a budget, they kind of cringe up a little bit. They're like, ooh, oh, you mean you budget? No, a budget is actually a good way of seeing how much money you truly have. You get to write down your income. So whatever jobs that you're doing, if you've got a couple jobs or if you've got that job that you've been at for 25 years, what do we do with that money that we make? Well, let's think about it. We might have our rent, our car payment, maybe some car insurance. How much do we spend at the grocery store? How much do we spend when we go into Walmart? Or I know you feel me, but when you walk into Target for something, I know you're spending a lot more money than that one item. So what do we need to do? We need to start writing down our expenses and make sure that we don't spend over that. Okay, we need to get a good idea of where our money goes. So let's show a little simple budget plan here for a second. So we want to have how much income do we get? So, we have a part-time job, 375. Our parents are thankfully giving us a little bit more money. And then, of course, remember the 30% back. We're saving a little bit, and we can put that back in case our alternator goes out in our car, or we've got that test coming up and you need to go get that blue book real quick for your college class. We got to think of different things like that to save up money. And then we think of our expenses. Now, this budget is called a zero budget out. So what that means is if we basically balance what we make, we're going to equal out to zero. Now, if we spend more money than we make, we're going to be in negative numbers.
Brandon, I think it's important that everybody understands that no budget's going to look the same for each individual is different, but it is important. The actual budget is what matters because it's a way to track expenses in or income in, expenses out.
Awesome. Thank you. Now, anytime I see wants or needs, I remember my mom always saying your wants won't hurt you. But also, let's think about this. I like to look at careers. If you really want an iPhone or an Apple Watch, or you want ESPN Plus, Disney Plus, HBO Max, you want all those things, we might have to have a little bit of a better job to be able to pay for those things. But we also got to consider, hey, how much is our groceries? Yes, we got to have clothes on our back. Hey, think about rent or our mortgage. And then, of course, we need to make sure that to be able to get to that job. See, I don't live in a big city where I can just take the metro like DC or something. I've got to drive my car. And if my car doesn't have gas or if it doesn't have oil, I'm not leaving the driveway. So we first got to focus on our needs. And then because we budgeted, we might get to throw in there maybe an extra $25 maybe to go out to eat or something like that. I don't know about you, but if I've got money in my wallet, there's a hole in it somewhere and I don't know where it goes. What we've got to think about is, hey, practice self-control. Yes, you may go into your favorite store and say, ooh, that's nice, that's nice, that's nice. But hey, we need to practice some self-control. Anything big, if you're purchasing electronics, you're purchasing a car, anything along those lines, appliances. Yes, kids, if you're listening today, there's one day that you're going to have to buy a dryer and you're going to get excited about it because it's a brand new dryer. But hey, start researching, see which brand is the best. See how long that it's going to last. See the warranty on it. Maybe you can do some 0% financing, maybe be able to purchase it a little bit easier, but always research before you buy.
And Brandon, you make a good.
Yeah, go ahead.
I think that also ties into the needs versus wants because, we want a new dryer that looks cool and makes sounds and they have it probably TVs in the dryer or whatever. But I just moved into a new place, and Brandon, somebody gave me a dryer, left it behind, and that's the best dryer I've ever had in my life. So listen, kids, when it comes to stuff like that, it's not about necessarily what is the coolest or what looks the best. It's about thinking about what is my budget and does it work? So researching, I think, is very important.
Oh, definitely. Just the other day, actually, kind of thinking about dryers, I thought I was going to have to buy a new dryer, literally. And we had a friend that, used to work on dryers. And sure enough, he got in the back of that thing and it was a piece this size. All it needed was changed. So bless that man, appreciate his help. But yeah, that we got to look at those kind of things when we're looking at big purchases. Keeping track of what you're spending. I know a lot of times if I go on vacation or I'm doing like a weekend trip or something like that, I'll keep it in my phone. Like, okay, I spent this much on gas. I spent this much on a souvenir or something. And it helps me understand, okay, ooh, I'm kind of spending a little bit more than I really need to. And then also it helps me plan for later on. Now this think used instead of new. Guys, I'm telling you what, you can buy some great products that are used that, just like Stephen talked about with the dryer, that used dryer is the best dryer he has ever had. There's a reason, you know, and I can think of many people that have found really good deals on used cars. And here's the thing, when you buy a brand new car, it loses value the minute you take it off that lot. A used car, that value's already gone. So what you have in it right there is what it's worth. And of course, guys, we got to be good stewards of what we own. You know, funny story here, I still have tennis shoes from when I was in college that look brand new because I just took care of them. If I knew if it was going to rain and they're a white shoe, maybe I wear a different shoe that day. But definitely take care of what you buy. If you have a car, always make sure you change the oil and put gas in it and keep the maintenance up on it. But always take care of what you buy. All right, so let's talk a little bit about a savings bond or a CD. And those are some great ways to save some money. And you actually have the ability to choose where your money goes. And really, honestly, the key about any of this, guys, is if you start saving, you want to start saving early. And it really truly does pay to save early. So kind of give you an idea here. This graph shows literally how quickly saving money on a monthly basis can add up over a 5-year period. And I love the word compounding. That truly, you want to find a savings account that has compounding interest. So you can see that if you saved $50 per month over 60 months, that's going to give you $3,000. And because of that 3.5% interest, you're going to have literally 333 more extra dollars. So it truly does work out much better for you if you save a little bit more each time due to that interest. Now, this chart just blows me away. And I wish I would have saw this as a 22-year-old kid, but look at this. If you put in $2,000 at age 22 and you did that each year for literally 7 years, you're going to have a total value of $75,000 compared to if I waited till I was 28, I would be putting in more money plus receiving a lot less because of being able to have the compounding interest.
And I think one thing I always tell students, Brandon, is time is something you cannot buy. And time is the key when it comes to interest. The longer it can accrue, the more snowball effect it has. And that's what this chart really is showing.
So you got your first job, right? You got your first job out of college, or maybe you're in high school and you're working somewhere. We've got to figure out a safe place to put it. We got to choose a bank. And then here's the cool thing about it is you're going to get that checkbook and you're going to get that debit card. And you're like, what in the world do I do with this? Now, guys, they're not teaching you how to write a check anymore in school. This is where we can be able to show you how to write a check. It's very simple to do, but a lot of people like to do that debit card. The checks and debit cards allow you to take money from your checking account or a savings account and purchase goods, right? Very simple. Now, thankfully, we have some online things that we can use like Apple Pay and different things like that. But the debit card or your checking account or in a checkbook are great ways to start out if you're early on in the making money process. We got to be able to balance your account. Now, I come back from the old days when you literally would wait till your bank statement came in and you would see with what was outstanding and what you had, and you'd have to actually add it up and subtract some. Nowadays, we literally have an online app that tells us literally, we just spent money at Kroger. Guess what? It already is out of my bank that quick and I can see it in my account. but you want to make sure that you are watching your account, because we want to avoid those overdrafts when it can charge you money for overdrafting more money than you have. Credit cards. Young people, let me just tell you, stay away from them as best as you can. However, you have to have some credit to establish good credit. And we're going to talk a little bit about credit later, but maybe what I started out with, and Stephen, you might want to be able to chime in. I did a gas card. I could only use it at the gas station. And so I would go get my gas, and every month I would pay off that account balance. Now, here's the thing, and it had a really, really small limit on it, but it didn't allow, like if I saw I was spending too much in gas going here to there, I had to back off a little bit. So that's starting already for money management, but at the same time, it gave me a chance to establish some credit.
Yeah, I think that's good. I think credit cards are one of those things that it's not the card that's bad, it's the user. And so if you get, credit cards are a dangerous slope. It's a slippery slope you could get on. And for some people that can't handle that kind of responsibility, I would definitely agree. Stay away from them. But, to establish credit, for ease, I use credit cards for the ease of the card. So I know I can monitor I can monitor everything that I purchase every month. And you also get benefits on some cards. Then that might be for you. It really depends on the person. I say you need to be aware of this. This could get ugly fast. So like Brandon was talking about, a gas card is a great way to start out. Only put gas on it, and you're not going to buy more gas than you really need each month. So pay the balance off every single month. And that's the key. If you're not, if you're one of those people that it's too tempting to have a credit card.
Yes. Thank you, Stephen. And Stephen points right to this. There are dangers of that credit card, but it's about the user. You think about a $1,500 credit card, and then you just pay the minimum balance. It'll take you your entire lifetime, guys, if not more, to pay it off. You can see that and here's the thing. If you applied for a credit card today and you're young, when you're of age to get a credit card, you're not getting that 11% interest. You're getting that 24 or 30% interest because of the credit that you don't have yet. $892,000 that you'd have to pay back if you literally only paid the minimum balance.
I think the moral of the story is we're not going to pay minimum balance, right? We're going to pay the full balance every month. And that's what we were talking about. If you're one of those people who can't handle that responsibility and you think that you're just going to carry that balance for a little while, well, look what happens. Yeah. You never pay it off at 30% interest, which, guys, you can get that at your age. So definitely be aware that this is real. These are not made up numbers, and that interest is real.
Yes. So let's kind of do a little question here. So who will likely pay more in finance charges per year if they all charge the same amount? Joe, who pays only the minimum amount each month. Lou, who always pays off his credit card bill in full right after he gets it in the mail. We like Lou a lot here. Sam, who generally pays it in full, but sometimes will pay the minimum when she is short of cash. And then Allie, who pays at least the minimum each month and more when she has the money. So you can guess easily that it is Joe who will have to pay more in finance charges because he only paid the minimum amount. So backing up to that slide, yes, he's going to be the one that did $892,000. I just want you to think about, what can you buy with $892,000? Now, we need to think about what to look for, though, with a credit card. Yeah, credit, dread it. But see, here's the thing. To establish some credit, you've got to start somewhere. And see, student loans, and we're going to discuss those a little bit later, they actually don't establish credit for you. But what we want to do is we want to look for the annual percentage rate, the APR. You definitely want to find something closest to zero as you can. A lot of times, car companies, when they do financing, if you have good credit, you can get 0% APR. You want to look for rate increases. Or especially one thing that you want to definitely look at is make sure that they don't have a monthly fee when you have a credit card. Or making sure that you don't have to have a certain balance on it to get a fee. Those things you really want to look at. So let's think about this. Well, you have to have a little bit of credit to get credit. But why do you want credit? You want to establish a FICO credit score. Now, this can be between 300 and 850, but it truly determines whether a person or yourself qualifies for a credit card, a vehicle loan, home loan, or other services. Basically saying, are you, can you, will you pay off the balance that you put on a credit card or when you take out a student loan? Or student loans in some cases, but if you were to buy a house or a car, they want to know that that you're going to pay back that bank. Good credit scores start at around 700 plus. So what is involved in calculating a credit score? Payment history. Now that you see that is the biggest one out of there. They want to see how often and how long that you've been able to pay back balances. This could even mean your utility bills, your phone bill, your electric, your cable bill. Yeah, that astronomical cable bill that you have, as long as you keep paying it off each month, it's going to help you establish some credit. They're also going to look at outstanding debt. How much do you owe somewhere, and how long have you had that credit to be able to pay it off? So a little bit of new credit, kind of when you apply for a new credit card or apply for a new loan for maybe a car. Those things are definitely helping out with calculating a credit score.
And, Brandon, I think that it's good that, for anybody starting out with learning about credit, you can always go to annualcreditreport.com to see the big three credit reports. And so there are three. Experian is one of them. I can't think of the other two right off my head, but there are three big ones. And the three main credit reporters will have your payment history on there. It will show you the different credits, the different lines of credit you've had, and it'll also show you how much you owe on each card or each account or whatever. So that's where you want to go find that at, is annualcreditreport.com. It is free and it is accurate. It is put out by the federal government.
So how can we build a good credit score? Think about establishing a bank account and bank responsibly. We already talked about that. When you start making money at an early age, literally go ahead and go with your parent and set up a checking account. Guys, I literally have had my checking account since I was 16 years of age. Now, I'm not going to tell you how old I am now, but I literally still have the same one to this day. Also, say you get married one day. Think about this. As you start opening your utility bills, your gas, electric, those things, make sure that both your spouse and you, each bill's in a different name, because that'll help you guys establish credit jointly a little bit there, so that when you go buy a car in both of your names or buy a home, it's going to help out because both scores will be on there. But here's the thing. If you borrow money for a car or you borrow money for student loans, maybe you're thinking about going to college soon, pay it back responsibly, and always, always pay your bills in full and on time. And guys, a credit card is not to go out and do a shopping spree. It is not giving you, if you get a $2,500 maximum credit card, it does not mean that you do take that $2,500 and go buy you a couple PlayStations, a couple Mac computers. Don't ever overuse credit. Be responsible for it. So we started talking a little bit about good credit. So really, truly, why does good credit matter? I love this illustration because it truly shows you why you need good credit. So here's the thing. You go out and buy a Subaru, buy a Subaru Outback today. And if the more credit, the better credit that you have, you're looking at saving a lot of money, because that interest rate is going to be a whole lot less for the person with the higher credit score than the one that struggled and didn't pay their bills back on time.
And I always like to point out to students, it's good to know why you need something, not just I need credit. So this is very clear on why. People with better credit scores are going to end up paying less money. And I know that kind of doesn't make sense because, right? If you have trouble paying bills back, why would you get charged more money? but you're more of a risk, and that's why good credit matters. So make sure you build that score from a young age, and it will follow you for the rest of your life.
Yes. Guys, identity theft. That is something that we hear we hear at the federal government level, we hear at the state level, and we hear that personally all the time. So yes, that goose wants to be a penguin, but guys, we know that that's still a goose. But we really got to focus on keeping and protecting our identity. One of the things that I definitely discourage is checking your bank accounts at the library. A lot of times people will go in there, and I know sometimes they might not have a computer at their home, but you're going to have some shoulder surfers. And that's a good way for them to look over your shoulder and see just a little bit about your information. And you know those security questions that you get asked when you set up a password or something? Yeah, even the FAFSA has them. And it asks for your mother's maiden name or what street you grew up on. See, these things can be gotten into by hackers. And if they put one or two things together, maybe you put Brown on something like my last name, and then I put my street address. Well, there's two things that I can already, that maybe be asked by my bank to confirm. So we got to make sure that we are not letting people see our information. We're answering questions that nobody's going to know. We're definitely checking our credit score to make sure. See, here's the good thing about a credit score. Stephen mentioned it. As you can see some irregularities on it. If there's something on there that doesn't look like what you did, you're allowed to report that. And typically they're going to take care of it once you report it, but we got to know about it before we report it. And don't give your information out to an unknown source. Most of the time, we are giving our information out via email.
Yeah.
We'll get an email from Apple or Microsoft or whichever, Target or Walmart, but they're really not coming from Walmart or Target or Apple. See where that email is coming from, and all you have to do is just click on the email, and it's going to be something strange. That's where they'll get you at. So be careful about, and that's what we call phishing. Actually, that's what called phishing and spam.
Yeah.
So got to keep your protection, guys. Your protection, your identity, and don't put that social security number in your wallet or, oh my goodness, never. I don't know how many students just pull it right out of their wallet, Stephen.
Yeah. And also when you're logging into websites, make sure that you're using secure passwords that nobody's going to know. Don't use your first name and your birth year or the word password. Don't use that. And change your passwords on a regular basis. Do simple things like that. That will protect your identity. And never, ever post your driver's license or your social security number on social media in pictures ever. Don't even pull it around. Don't even pull out your social security card in public. That's something that you want to keep safe.
Yeah, my social security card is in a safe, locked up. Social media, guys, and this is a biggie. This is where a lot of people get some of their information stolen. A lot of scams out there. One thing that I will tell you about social media is the quizzes, changing the passwords regularly, keeping it private. I'll be honest with you. My Instagram that I keep, I have it set as private. So only the people that I trust can see pictures. And some people, if maybe you don't trust yourself of what you're going to put on there, don't get on social media. It is not a requirement for you to have an account on Facebook or Twitter or Instagram or become the next TikTok famous person. Honestly, it's ways to possibly invade your privacy. And guys, one thing that I will say, and I see this a lot, is what you put on social media. Would you want your mom and dad to see that?
Or an employer, Brandon.
Or an employer. Oh, that's a biggie. Or maybe that college admissions counselor. I've had students lose their scholarships, guys. Or people, I used to work in human resources. One of my main jobs was to go onto social media and see what I could find on these people and see what kind of culture and environment that they were always in, because we had a culture we wanted to respect in our company. But, and I promise you this, even if it's private, even if you, it can be found because you've put it out on the World Wide Web, the www, right? Now, let's kind of move away a little bit here in contracts. Now, we might not know a lot about contracts, but really, guys, back in the day, a handshake was a handshake. That's not the correct. That's not it anymore. You want to have agreements. If you're like, if someone says, okay, I'm going to pay you $500 for this car that's in your driveway, you need to get it in writing so that it will be on that contract, so that any verbal agreement, there's paper to back it up. Contracts are a way for apartment leases, when you do your student loans, cell phones. Now, back in the day, you would have to be in a credit or contract for your cell phone. They've kind of changed that a little bit because people move services quite a bit, but make sure you read every single line of that contract, because the fine print can get you.
Especially when you're buying a new phone. I know for students of a younger age, they want the newest phone, and some of these contracts you sign, you're going to be stuck with the bill if you don't read the fine print in that contract to know what am I, is it really a free phone, or am I going to have to pay more money for the service that goes with that phone? That's what they're doing now a lot, is you have to pay for a higher end service to be able to operate these new phones. Yeah. So make sure that you read the fine print. I think that's the important part about contracts.
Oh yeah, you're paying the phone for the phone bill through the contract, and not the contract of the actual service with the like AT&T or Sprint, something like that. You're paying for that phone. Yeah. Now, automobile insurance, guys, in the state of Kentucky, everybody is required to have insurance. Now, there's just a couple of types of insurance: liability, collision, comprehensive, and uninsured. To really kind of make it short and sweet, if you still owe on your car, you have to have liability and collision. But if your car is paid off, then you can only have liability. Liability is not covering your property, but it's covering the property of somebody else if you were to get into a wreck and it was your fault. So, real simple. If you caused a crash, which kind of auto insurance would cover damage to your vehicle? And yes, that would be collision, because collision is going to cover not only the person that you might have hit, unfortunately, but it's also going to cover the damage to your vehicle. Now, here's the thing. If you are in an accident, it's going to cause your premium to go up that you normally pay. And also, you're going to have to cover the deductible. So make sure that when you are looking at insurances, you want to see for a good deductible. And that's, again, right back. You're absolutely right, Stephen. Back to those contracts. Watch those contracts that you sign up for when you're filling out insurance claims. Ooh, here's a good one for people going to college. Find out before you go and stay in a dorm room about your parents', homeowners, or renters insurance. Can it be used on your college dorm? Let me give you a little tip here. This did not happen to me, but it has happened to people. There's going to be a little sprinkler in your dorm room, in each room of the dorm, right? Do not use that to hang your hanger on, because if it breaks that little piece of glass in there that's red, those sprinklers are made to wet every single inch of that dorm room.
And that brand new 70-inch TV that you shouldn't have put in that dorm room anyway, you did because it's cool. That's now gone because it's wet. So
that laptop is gone.
Make sure you have renter's insurance if your dorm room's not covered by your college itself. So
yes,
most of the time colleges won't cover students' possessions.
Correct. Yeah, definitely want to make sure. And guys, you want that home insurance and renter's insurance, because if something were to happen, then it's going to be covered for you.
And you can't buy a home without homeowner's insurance. No. So you're going to have it.
And that's why we're talking about money today, because those things cost. Now, if we're thinking about borrowing student loans, now this is something that I know Stephen and I have talked about plenty of times of, if you're thinking about going to school and you're going to need to borrow a student loan, we need to be a responsible borrower. So there's basically two types of loans that you can borrow, and it comes from the federal government: a subsidized and an unsubsidized loan. If you do borrow, try to stay within that subsidized loan, because the interest is paid for you by the government while you're in school. The unsub, you have to pay the interest. And if you don't, it just capitalizes on the original payment, and it's going to be a whole lot more. So you want to think about that. And they, like we mentioned earlier, it does not count as credit. So they are not going to review your credit to get it because it's an educational based loan. But now parents, if you need to borrow on behalf of your student, you can borrow loans in your name called the PLUS loan. But let me tell you this, we've got a better option for you for parents if you're thinking about borrowing student loans. And yes, that's the Kentucky Advantage Education Loan. Just like the PLUS loan, it's based on credit, your credit score. But the difference is because of how good your credit is, and I'm sure I'm talking to some people out there with some really good credit, we can help you with your lower interest rate. If you do a PLUS loan, even with great credit, it's going to still be a higher interest rate than what we can offer with the Kentucky Advantage Education Loan. And it has the same type of options, repayment options as a federal loan, and you're working with a nonprofit company, which that also sometimes, I know a lot of people feel more comfortable about that when borrowing a student loan or any type of loan.
Yeah. And I will say this too, for those students who are looking to, who need money to borrow, student loans are not inherently bad. It's just money. It allows you to go for some students, it's absolutely necessary. It allows you to get an education. I always say, look at what you're getting for what you're giving, which Brandon will show that here in a second. But I wanted to point out, Brandon, that the loans this year, the loans this year are at 2.75%. So that's the APR. And that is one of the lowest ever in history. So if you're going to college in the next year, you really have a good interest rate.
Yes. So when we think about federal loan repayment, what can we afford? So what we want to think about is what kind of career are you going to have when you graduate college? Is your salary expecting to be a $35,000 salary, or maybe a $75,000 or $100,000 your expected salary? We want to make sure that we can afford that repayment. So you can kind of see that as initial like debt at repayment. So say you owe $25,000. That's going to be at a 2.75 interest rate. You're looking at $239 a month. And you're probably going to pay a little bit over $3,000 of interest. Well, look over back at the expected salary. Really, you're going to need to make at least $30,000 to be able to afford that monthly payment of the $239. So I always like to tell students, if you're expecting to get a McDonald's, work at McDonald's, you better not be borrowing $100,000 at college to work at McDonald's. We want to know what kind of career we're going to have so that we know that we can afford that repayment. Now, we've got a lot of great additional resources for you guys. I hope that you have seen some of the things that we've talked about today. One of the really good websites, definitely the ftc.gov, FDIC, who protects your money at the bank. We have really good websites like practicalmoneyskills.com, studentaid.ed.gov, where you can actually fill out your FAFSA there. You can check and see what kind of, maybe you borrowed student loans back in the day. You're able to go on there and check and see what kind of borrowing that you've done in the past. But another really good resource, and I can't say enough about it, is KHEAA. KHEAA.com, KHEAA.com. It is any individual that goes on there, there's going to be something for you. And we literally gear it towards you. We are here to help. That's our number one goal. We talked a little bit about what KHEAA is. Guys, we're here for you. We get to service all 120 counties in Kentucky. There's not many other states that offer the kind of service that we do. And remember, it's all free. So please, couple things. Reach out to us on text. If you text the word outreach to 1-800-928-8926, we will give you tips throughout the year to remind you about steps like, do the FAFSA, or, check out that master promissory note if you do a loan. And we are all over social media, especially during this time of the pandemic. I know most of us are at home learning, whether it's kindergarten all the way to being a senior and in college. We're learning at home. And so we want to continue to offer you resources on Facebook, on Twitter, Instagram. We have an awesome YouTube channel, which this video will be posted to that as well as on the kygoestocollege.com website. But thank you so much for hanging out with us today, and hopefully you can enjoy this, and be sure to share this video. You know, we will have it available for students. Share the link with someone, maybe a youth group or a group of just getting together and hanging out to know a little bit about financial literacy. We want to be able to offer this to you guys. And Stephen, I'll go ahead and turn it back over to you, my friend.
So we appreciate you all for checking out our webinar. Please visit KHEAA.com and KYGoesToCollege.com for, again, resources on college access, financial literacy, financial aid for college. And again, text the word outreach to that number, or you can text that number directly, and we will actually send you a personalized answer back. So on behalf of on behalf of Brandon and myself, I just want to say have a great night, have a wonderful holiday season, and we hope to see you guys again. Thanks, Brandon. It's good to see you again, my friend.
You too. Thank you, Stephen. Appreciate it, bud.